net.
Dumbass. I use gel.
You've got mail.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2024 science fiction horror film Y2K. The film is co-written, directed, and he also appears in the film, Kyle Mooney. And the film stars Jaden Martell, Rachel Zegler, Julian Dennison, Lachlan Watson, and Fred Durst. Yes, that Fred Durst. Right, okay, the film is set in late 1999. The teenagers of a small American town are preparing to go out on the evening to go to a party to celebrate the coming of the new millennium. As the bell tolls midnight, the Y2K bug hits with full force, and technology decides it's time to turn against humanity. It then becomes a fight for the survival for the town members to try and make it to the morning in one piece while trying to figure out how they can fight back against this threat. Right, what are my thoughts on Y2K? Well, okay, this is an A24 film. Now, A24 have been known in recent years for more, I don't know what you would call it really, grown-up intellectual horror films. It seems in recent times they're leaning more towards a Blumhouse way of making horror films, and they're kind of putting their name to any old shite, it would seem. And this one is, I don't know, this one's a bit of an odd one. I mean, it's got a lot of talent involved in it. I mean, it's got Jonah Hill, who was one of the producers, or the producer on this. And I suspect if this was made 10 years ago, or a bit longer, he probably would have starred in it as well, I would imagine. It seems like the sort of thing he would have made years gone by. You've got Kyle Mooney on board, who's co-written it, directing it, and is in the film. I suspect he's possibly more well-known in the US than he is over here in the UK. And then you've got quite a lot of recognisable faces in here. You've got Jaden Martell, obviously, you'll recognise. He's done quite a lot of things. He was in the Knives Out film. He's done It. You know, he's done quite a lot of stuff. You've obviously got Rachel Zegler, who is about as popular as a fart in a spacesuit, it would seem, right now in Hollywood because of the whole Snow White debacle. Interestingly, it was initially Jenna Ortega who was cast in the Rachel Zegler role, Laura. But due to scheduling conflicts, we got Rachel Zegler instead, which in many people's eyes is quite a significant downgrade. Look, I'm not here to crap all over certain actors, actresses, or all that kind of stuff, but this film is supposed to be as well a comedy, a horror science fiction comedy. The whole concept of the Y2K bug. Now, I was obviously around at the time when, you know, the new millennium was coming into fruition, and there was a lot of talk about the Y2K bug and all technology was going to fail, or etc. etc. And then when midnight hit, bugger all happened, and to be fair, we were all a bit disappointed. Nothing at all happened. Well, this is obviously a different twist on it. Something quite significant happens, and technology turns against humankind. It's an interesting idea. It's an interesting concept, and there is some scope here for some comedy. And, you know, there are some moments here and there that'll kind of make you raise a smile. For me, most of the comedy in this film came from Julian Dennison, and actually the director, Kyle Mooney, who plays like the local stoner who runs a video store and is just stoned all the time. Beyond that, for me, if you're relying on Jaden Martell and Rachel Zegler to provide the comedy in a movie like this, you are really in trouble, because they play the film straight, and that's one of my biggest issues with this film. is that you can't take it seriously. When people are being killed by, evil Tamagotchis, you can't take this thing seriously. However, you've got characters in this taking it seriously. And then for some reason, you've got Fred Durst turning up in this film. I know the reason why. He would have been mega popular in 1999. However, it's not 1999 when they made this film, so he doesn't look like the Fred Durst from 1999. It's just a bizarre idea to just randomly put him in the film. It doesn't work at all. And then when you've got characters in here, when you've got like 7-foot robots that have built themselves to, wipe out humanity, and, other little creatures that have built themselves to kind of try and wipe out the human race, it doesn't help the film when you've got characters kind of sat down having serious conversations about life, relationships, and so on and so forth. It's just like, what are you doing? You can't be taking this film seriously. And they're trying to have characters talk about normal things. This film would have been far better, and I mean infinitely better, if it was just treated like slapstick. And they really dialed up the comedy here, and had some really over-the-top violence. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some decapitations here in the film, and it is quite amusing to see the variety of different ways in which, people are kind of wiped out by these, on-the-spot robot things that they've built themselves. And it's quite an interesting idea as well to see, many of the townsfolk being almost turned into Borg by this technology by, near the end of the film. But the way they figure out how to deal with this technology is, well, they even joke about it in the film, how it leans towards, some famous films in regards to the solution. And I'm not going to spoil what they do, but it ain't going to take a rocket scientist to figure out what they come up with. Excuse me. So it's a horror science fiction comedy that is very lacking in the comedy department. And while there are some, let's say, gruesome deaths and decapitations and stuff like that, there's very little in the way of scares here. And I didn't enjoy any of the characters, really. In actual fact, for me, the best or the funniest character in the film was the character the director was playing. And Julian Dennison, who plays Danny, was quite a fun character, but he's not in the film way enough. So this is somewhere way down the middle. I think there was potential here for a film that could possibly have worked. The idea is sound. What if the Y2K bug actually happened and the world turned to shit? Because technology turned against us. There is a fun idea at the core of this. It's just that completely, I think, failed to deliver on much of that promise. So, yeah. That's my review for Y2K, guys. I hope you have a great new year, and I will, of course, see you back on the channel in 2025 with plenty more content. So, thanks for watching.